In Kenya, authorities have warned that 2 dams in the east and central region are reaching dangerously high levels due to heavy rains. The Masinga and Kamburu dams are both fed by water from Mount Kenya. If rains continue, authorities may be forced to release water from the dams, which could have consequences for villages downstream. The Kenya Red Cross has advised people in the affected areas to move to higher ground because of the flood risk. Over 200,000 people have already been displaced by flooding across Kenya. Many are currently staying in schools or open areas. The flooding has also submerged roads and has caused some landslides. Well, joining me in our studio here in Nairobi is Dan Mutinda. He is the Nairobi County Coordinator for the Kenya Red Cross. Thank you for joining us, Daniel.
Thank
How
you.
bad is the situation across the country?
We were projecting to have increased rainfall, but not to this extent. We've seen rains across the country. 211,000 people have been displaced as we talk this morning from the onset of the rains. And that translates to about 33,000 households that have been displaced. And we've also evacuated and treated on site 33 people. And unfortunately, we have 72 people who have lost their lives in result of these rains.
How did that happen? Did they drown? What happened?
Most of it is actually drowning. You've seen people being ferried in their cars by floods or running water. And what we're doing is to advise people not to drive on water or on over top bridges, because people assume that they're going to get to the other side, and it's something that we're trying to raise awareness on across the country.
So you said 33,000 households. That's an awful lot. So where did all these people go to? We know they're in schools and other areas. Where have most of them gone to?
Most of them are actually hosted in schools, even churches. And this morning we've seen people in Tana River going to actually put their things on the road. And we're working with our teams there to ensure that these people are evacuated to even better places. We use also open grounds. In West Kenya, we've seen evacuation centers that were built some years back getting overboard by the numbers that they are registering as a result of these floods. And
we knew about these rains. So, I mean, do you think measures could have been put in place to have prevented this situation? What sort of preparations were out there? I mean, were these rains more unusual?
I think we've witnessed rains before, but this time around I think we've had increased rainfall. Maybe because the infrastructure is also, people are building almost every single place. But if you look at the extent at which the rains have caused damage is uncomparable to previous periods. And the weatherman had predicted that in West Kenya we're going to have increased rainfall and some parts of Tana River, and that's where we actually focused our efforts as Kenya Red Cross. We set aside support for 10,000 households in regards to these floods. But as I've just mentioned, 33,000 households are also displaced, and that means then our stocks are overstretched. We have 20,000 households that are not supported currently.
Okay, well, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much for telling us about the situation, the flooding in Kenya.